Good afternoon on this fine Thursday afternoon to the Bajan audience. The time in Barbados is 3:30 p.m. Of course, I am welcoming each and everyone who's tuning in from all over the world to listen to us on the very first day of October. It's a new month, a new beginning. All of the little and bigger school children are cheering today because, due to the predicted weather system and potential for flooding, all schools stayed closed today here in Barbados on the 1st of October 2020. The Ministry of Education has advised that schools should engage students using the online modality where possible. We are not staying closed though. We are very much present. We are live with the seventh episode of Automar TV. We are broadcast live on Automar TV Facebook page and on YouTube, and bringing you guys the latest news and reviews of the automotive industry. Today, we are honored to welcome in the online studio a legend of the Rallycross Barbados, Mr. Christopher Hoad. Thank you for accepting my invitation, Chris. Great to have you online. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Sophie. Thank you. Thanks for having me. All's good. Thank you.
Lovely to talk with you. Thanks very much. Let's start off our conversation with my first question. That would be, what is your relation to the automotive industry? I know you are a Bimma Cup driver, but as far as I know, your relation with the rally goes back till 25 years ago. How did you first get involved with rally? How did your career started?
Well, just basically, rallying in Barbados is a huge sport. And from a young age, obviously doing a little bit of fun go-karting and whatnot, and always had an interest in the sport, but never really was able to have my own car. And a friend of mine, he was getting involved in rallying just with a small Toyota front-wheel drive 12-valve Starlet, and asked me if I would come and navigate for him, and there we went from there. I've navigated, as I said, off and on for over 20 odd years for various different people, and really because it's a love for the sport, and yeah, so it just went from there. But I never really had the opportunity in the past to have my own car, as much as I would have liked to, but just various different sports and budget, really, it just never permitted it.
Understood. So since how long you are involved in with Bimma Cup, and what is Bimma Cup for our listeners who may have not heard about it yet, for instance, our overseas audience?
Well, yeah, because it all ties together and it makes a lot of sense because, I heard of this Bimma Cup going on in Barbados and in the Caribbean over the last, I would say, 4 years. Okay. And a lot of friends of mine and other guys I know who were past drivers, rally drivers that got out of the game for whatever reasons, were back involved. And I went up and I had a look, and then I started asking some questions. How can I get involved in this? And the simple reason why Bimma Cup is so, not just so much fun, but it's actually affordable, and it's the most affordable form of motorsport that you will find. Obviously, everything has a cost. But compared to other disciplines in rallying, these Bimma Cup cars are basically, it's one design series. They're all BMW 318 Ti coupes. And I think the youngest of the cars would be like year 2000. Okay, so that's just to show you. So where this sport, I think, was picked up from, it was actually very big in England, well, in the UK, where they have the Compact Cup, which they use the similar cars, and mainly for track
also
racing.
BMWs.
All BMWs, the same 318 Ti coupes. Okay, so I think it was because these cars were all over Europe in scrap yards, in somebody's backyard, and they basically were selling for a couple £100. And then the organizers put together this one design series where the cars are, I wouldn't necessarily say modified, but there's certain things in the car that are improved upon for durability, as well as for a little bit more speed and enjoyment.
Understood. Yes, these are all factors. Would be also very interested in what makes a good rally driver. What particular skills do you need to have in order to be successful in this sport?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out.
It's a long way, right? It's just a lifetime, but
you said in the introduction, legend, but far from. As I said, last year was the first year that I actually had the opportunity to drive. Um, and I did okay last year. I actually came fifth in our championship. I finished pretty strong coming to the end of the year. And
Congratulations for that.
people ask me how I managed to do that. But when you're a member of Vaucluse Raceway, the club that we run the Bimma Cup series basically out of, um, we're allowed practice on a Saturday. Okay, and
Okay.
I take every opportunity possible. I think if they were to count who did the most laps last year, it would be me, because I wouldn't say, in this sport, especially with these cars, what I've been learning now, I don't have much to compare it to, but a lot of guys that drive bigger, faster machines realize that they come here and it takes a bit of time to learn this particular car, because it's not the most powerful. So you have to learn where you have to carry
How
speed,
to,
because you can't just shut it down and get back up to speed very
yeah,
easily.
how you can use its full potential. I guess it takes time to learn your own vehicle. I guess that's where your success is
Well,
laying
yeah,
in.
practice is all I can say.
Practice. Practice makes perfect. That's very true too.
And preparation as well too, because where I am right now too, I'm at the garage, which is called Guava Tech, where houses, I would say, probably 2/3 of the BMWs the Bimma Cup cars, and the guys here do a fantastic job. They make sure that they do prevent services before the events. It's a lot of preventative maintenance. And although each car is different, the same with regards to specifications, and the rules and regulations governing the class is more what you can't do as opposed to what you can do in order to keep the cars fair. But there's still certain things you can do. I mean, each driver has their different driving style, and their, for example, rear anti-roll bar. Some people drive with it off, some people drive with it on, depending on if you're in a rally or if you're driving on the track. The suspension settings, whether it's ride height, some people like theirs a little bit lower, or a little lower, a little higher, and tire pressures, various subtleties, small things. But in a class that's so close, those little bits make the difference.
I understand. Yes, the vehicle is the next thing we'll be talking about, as you already started to mention the various focus points you need to be very vigilant about once you are taking part in a rallycross race. The vehicle, yes, that's basically your horse, your tool to participate in rally and to execute a safe race. It's the number one priority, I guess. I was there at Vaucluse Raceway last Saturday on the 26th of September, and I was taken for a 5 laps long drive with full speed by Ryan Wood, the president of Vaucluse Raceway. It was insane. I've never ever tried anything like this before. Sometimes I was like screaming, but most of the time I was praying for my life. But the experience was amazing, though. I am very grateful for it, and I really enjoyed it. We maxed it out, I could say. You are doing this for a while now. You said you just your first race was last year, but your experience over the years was that really count a lot, I guess, and the practice what you put into this. You know what certain characteristics a rally car has to have in order to be driven safely and on the maximum speed. I had the chance to see Ryan's car inside. It is basically a very light structured car. Every rally car has to be very light in order to reach the maximum capacity, but at the same time, it has to be heavy enough to stay on the road. When you're taking a sharp bend or doing a donuts, or when you're drifting or taking over another racer during a rally competition, what do you have to be very vigilant about? I have not seen your car inside yet, but in just a few seconds, I hope I will have a chance. But I've seen it outside. It's a white rally car with a yellow-green Subway logo. Subway is your sponsor?
Well, here it is.
They're doing a great job so far?
Yeah, very much so. I have a couple sponsors, which Subway is the main sponsor, and then the Sani Water, Total Racing Oils, and then Guavatec, which is the workshop that we
workshop, yeah,
which is home base.
That must make a very big difference. So now let's talk about the body, the structure, and the technical features of a rally car. Let's take your car as an example, if you allow us. How does it look on the outside and on the inside? I noticed that the windows are replaced, for instance, for plexi windows. So in a possible accident, you could show. Okay.
Take you on a little tour, basically. Yeah. So basically, and only recently, I've changed more for weight to the Lexan windows, okay? Because as we know, glass is obviously a lot heavier than the Lexan, okay? Now, you mentioned the weight. Now, in a car that's only roughly around 140 horsepower, which is not very much, weight is a big difference with regards to speed.
That's a game changer.
It is a game changer. And our class is basically 1,150 kilos, inclusive of driver and gear. Okay?
Inclusive of driver, okay.
Inclusive of driver and gear. It used to be before 1,090 kilos car alone, but they changed the regulation, or 1,080 kilos, but they changed the regulations to car and driver. So obviously you want to try to get your car as light as possible or closest to the weight limit as possible.
And yourself too? You have to go on a diet to be light as possible?
I do. Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that I'm a lot bigger guy than some of the other drivers. So as light as I try to get my car, it's not the Arrow, it's the Indian, you know.
I hear you.
Yeah. But as I said, so only recently I changed out to Lexan, and we saved between that and then just taking out all the power window mechanisms and whatnot. You know, we saved about 20 kilos. So I've come down closer to the weight, but I still have about 20 more kilos to go. And I don't think, honestly, we can do much more with regards to the car without compromising safety. And so I think it's up to me now to go on a diet.
Very good luck for that. It's kind of like in boxing, I guess. The competitors have to reach the weight limit, and it's very important in your sport as well. This is very interesting. Well, you are in a good shape. I met you in person. You are a tall guy, a very tall guy. So I guess that explains as well your weight. And but your car. Let's talk more about your car now. So you mentioned the windows, right?
Right.
But for example, on the last year rallycross, did you still compete with the glass windows?
Last year, yes, I competed with the glass windows. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, because the cars basically obviously come with the glass windows. So the Lexan changeout is a modification. And you know, as I said, last year I was just kind of more wetting my feet, trying to feel my way in the field. And you know, obviously being more comfortable now, and the target's now more on better results. You know, so obviously we're trying to get the car, as I said, by you know, just altering tire pressures and just ride height and the weight and the little things that we can do, you know, to suit my driving style as well. You know, you went with Woody the other day, as you mentioned, with Ryan, and Ryan has been racing and rallying for over 20 years, and you know, his driving style is extremely flamboyant, but it's also very fast. You know, and there are other guys in the class. The guy Ian Warren, who's actually leading the championship, he's also been rallying at a very, very high level, both locally and internationally, over the years. And his driving style as well is totally different. It's he's a little bit, I guess, more smoother lines, but slow and fast out, where Woody is gonna come there, pull the handbrake, set the car up, and go through the corner full sideways, as you probably experienced.
Telling me, man. It was insane.
But my point being, that
Yes.
between the two of them, it not much separates them with regards to times and results. Okay, and they have two totally different driving styles, and the car setup in return would be totally different as well. As I said, within the parameters of what we are allowed to do with the heavily governed Bimma Cup class rules. Okay?
Yeah, understand. Now that you mentioned other racers as well, here comes a question from one of our viewer. If you could tell us who are the top 3 racing drivers in Barbados in terms of wins in the past 5 years?
Are we speaking of Bimma Cup, or are we speaking of like full like rallying?
Let's speak as in full about rallying.
Um, I would say, see, there are a lot of international guys that race in Barbados, and when I say international, regional guys, there's a guy Jeffrey Panton from Jamaica. His car resides here in Barbados, which is he had a Ford Focus World Rally car. I think it was like 2008 World Rally car. Then there's another guy from England, Rob Swan, who had a Subaru Impreza. And their cars were but residing here for most of the year over the last couple of years. There's a young guy, Dane Skeet, son of Roger Skeet, who is a legend in Barbados and won Rally. But I think he has the most wins at Rally Barbados. Dane just recently took over his dad's
Legacy.
it's the Subaru. And I said those 3 would be the top 3 with regards to the bigger classes. But the beauty of rallying in Barbados as well too is not only the 4-wheel drive, like the top 4-wheel drive class, is the 2-wheel drive class. I think the competition in that is even more fierce, where you have guys like Roger Mears, who has what we call the WR Starlet, which is like a World Rally Toyota Starlet. Josh Reed, who has a Toyota Starlet as well too. I mean, those guys are really, really, really fast. And on in a rally on a dry day, those 2-wheel drive cars give the world cars a run with regards to times.
What speed we talking about here, for instance?
Well, you know, a lot of those cars are depending like how they're geared, right? So those cars are not really necessarily going to do 150 miles an hour, even though they could, but they're generally geared to get to 125 miles an hour really, really quickly. Some cars like Rhett Watson's BMW, which is also M3 BMW, that's one of the faster ones in the 2-wheel drive class. If you have longer stages, he will do obviously better because that car will probably top out at about 135, 140 miles an hour, where the others are more 120 miles an hour.
Oh, I see. It's still like a lot, and to actually sit in the car is kind of a scary experience. Of course, not for you or the other racer guys who are used to the speed.
I spent 20 years, as I said, in the other seat. Okay, and you're at the mercy. You're at the mercy of the driver. You're obviously not going to get into a car and trust your life, put your life on the line with someone that you don't trust. Obviously, accidents do happen. It's a risky sport that we're in. But fortunately, and this would probably take us back to the car, these cars are very, very safe. They're all FIA spec with regards to safety. Roll cage, plumbed in fire extinguisher internally, handheld extinguisher, bucket seats, 5-point harness seat belts, all of the above.
In Woody's car, it was I guess it was a 4-point seat belt, and as you mentioned, the whole frame, which also improves the safety of the car. When, for instance, God forbid, it turns over or roll over, it will not damage the actual body of the car, and it keeps you safe. And I also noticed that in his car, for instance, but I think, as you mentioned, in most of the rally cars, there is manual gear. Is it correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So let's take a look in your car.
Okay.
Can't wait.
It's difficult. I don't know how to flip this around, so I'll just do it this way.
We follow. Perfect. I can see.
So basically, that's into the steering wheel and the basically pedals and the bucket seats with the full harness seat belts, fire extinguishers,
handbrake, which is very important in our game, gear stick, and then we have for extinguisher that we can pull this if there's a event of a fire.
Okay.
Kill switch that we can shut the car off in the event that you need to cut the ignition. Yeah, and then full roll cage.
Is your car
And then
also working on 2 fuel system?
no,
No, you are not. Okay.
no. All of these cars, to my understanding, because I'm not the technical one when it comes to the cars. But my understanding is that they basically have 2 fuel pumps, but
Yes.
basically one fuel pump feeds the other, because the regulations in the class, it's only supposed to be operating off of 1 fuel pump. But these cars, the gas tank is like a upside down horseshoe. So if you run what we find, if you run the car like about quarter tank or less, and you're taking hard corners, you tend to get a bit of fuel surge where the car starves and slows down.
Yeah, you have a very nice inside of your car. It looks lovely. And I think in this place where you are right now, in the workshop, there are other cars as well,
Yes.
belonging to the Walkloos Raceway Club. Can you show
Well,
us?
okay, this one next to us, this one next to me here, that is Ian Warren's car,
Ian
better
Warren's.
known as Wee Wee. He's actually the championship leader at the moment. Then this is the other subway car, even though it doesn't really look very put together at the moment, because as you know, we had a couple tangles in the last rallycross.
Yes,
so
we will
this
get to that
guy
just
here,
a second.
Damien, wave to the folks out there.
Hi, Damien. I remember you.
Yeah. He's the BMW specialist in the Guava Tech workshop. So he'll have these
Respect.
put back together and in time for the next event. This car here, it's a guy from Trinidad who has a car here that's actually being built. It's now stripped out from a road car. The roll cage is there, getting ready to put in. And then we have a special one here now. I mean, if it sells, maybe I'll get a commission. But each car has a bit of a nickname. This one here is a brand new build, which is like the pride and joy of the workshop. Her name is Madonna.
Wow, looks sexy.
She is sexy and untouched and without an owner at the moment. A couple of people biting, but so just in the stages of getting her ready.
Beautiful.
And this is obviously, as I said, the subway car. As you would see there, there's some
yours
unwanted tire marks on the left side.
Yeah.
We're missing the bumper, which has to get put back on from after the final race. And then a couple little bumps on the side, but all of that's part of the racing.
Right. I saw it last Saturday out on the rallycross that you had some very close moments with some other racers. How did it happen? How was the experience for you, and what accomplishments did you reach?
Just before we get to that, though, I'll just show you there's a couple of the other guys out here, all cleaned and resting for the next event.
Which is when is this going to be? And that's Rally Barbados, is it right?
Yeah, the Rally Barbados is obviously our flagship event for Barbados, and they're probably going to be, I think, there are 8 or 9 entries from the Bimma Cup class going into Rally Barbados. Unfortunately, I'm not. Unfortunately, not this year. I did last year. Yeah, but this year just have a bit going on work-wise, and we also I have some work going on over that weekend, so it's not really possible.
I understand.
But getting back to you asked about the rallycross,
yes.
The
How was it?
Yeah, it was a good day. I don't know. I was a little unsettled, to tell you the honest truth, all day. I didn't really feel as comfortable and
fluid as I normally would be. I don't know. They made some slight alterations to the track as they would for rallycross, which to kind of protect the track itself, they moved some of the cones around or tires around, which changed the shape of the lines a little bit. And I don't know, like in qualifying, I was like in a 6-lap race, I was like 3 seconds off of the person who won the qualifying. And it doesn't sound like a lot, and that's only half a second a lap. But at the end of the day, in our group, that's
it is
still
a lot.
lot.
Still, yes.
That's a lifetime, you know. So
I was not a car racer, but I was a sprinter in athletics, so I know how much 3 seconds is. It's a lot in this sport when speed is what matters.
Yeah. So I managed to qualify 4th, and in the semi-final, I actually won my semi-final race.
I saw that race; it was beautiful.
Yeah, which put me second on the grid in the final, and then the final, obviously, you have obviously all the best races around you, and I actually got a very good start. But when we got to the first corner, there were 4 of us, literally, one like bumping me from behind, and then a guy very close on the left, a guy very close on the right. And we got into a little tangle into the first corner. And, in hindsight, looking back, I could have or should have given the guy on my left a little bit more room, and which kind of maybe fouled him a little. And then it kind of pushed me sideways. And then, unfortunately, it put me out of shape and then into the other subway car, which is not very good for team racing and team morale at the moment. And unfortunately, I put him out of the race. But it was deemed as a racing incident. It wasn't intentional by everyone, and everybody was very, very close at the time. And I would chalk it down to experience as well too. That I haven't done a lot of circuit racing in the past and rallycross, and you learn from these things. I did manage to come out of the incident, and even though we lost some time on the leader, I came out of the incident still holding on to second place. But as the race went on, and held second basically until the second to last lap where I did my joker lap, and I got passed literally by one car, and then so anyway, I finished 4th. But to show you and show the viewers how close this racing is, 1.5 seconds separated first from 4th.
Wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was at the short end of the stick and off the podium, so. But all in all, great racing. I mean, the guys are, fierce competitors, and the other beauty of the Bimma Cup, and I think you may have noticed after, is that it's the camaraderie, it's the enjoyment, and having a couple of beers after, maybe a little bit more than a couple sometimes, because we race hard and we play hard and we enjoy each other's company. And we really have a good group of guys, and we have a lot of fun together.
For sure, I recognize the atmosphere was really amazing there. You got together after the race like a big family, and as you say, play hard and celebrate hard as well at the end.
Play hard and play harder.
Exactly, that's the right way to put it. Very cool. Congratulations for your 4th place this time. It's only going to go better and better with practice, as you said. Practice makes perfect in the sport. For our last question today, I have one of the viewer asking this question from you. What improvements would you like to see within the rally sport in Barbados to be more competitive with the international markets?
That's a difficult question, because I think our governing body, which is the Barbados Motoring Federation, the BMF, as well as the Barbados Rally Club, and the Barbados Motoring Club, which are the 2 bodies that do more of the rallying, as well as our Rally Barbados, which is an international standard rally. Obviously, because of COVID, everything has changed quite a bit, and then there are not going to be as many foreign entries. But with regards to the standard of rallying in Barbados, I would say
right?
It's very high. And the organization and how it's actually run is very, very professional. They're always trying to up their game with regards to professionalism and most importantly, safety. Last year, they would have introduced the Rally Safe system, which we used as at the warm-up rally and then in Rally Barbados. And for those viewers that are not familiar with it, it's basically a system in a car that you can communicate, or you can be communicated to, one, by other vehicles, as well as the control center. So in the event that there's a car that's off on the course, okay, that in the midst of a stage, you get an alert, or the co-driver, because he would see it, gets an alert which may be yellow, and it says, caution in 200 meters. And then it counts it down to the caution. Or if there's a car that is like in serious trouble, and for whatever reason it may be red, and you know that you may have to stop to assist, or there are even cases where you get behind a car on a stage and stuck behind a slower vehicle, or a vehicle that may be going slow because of a puncture or mechanical problems. There's a button push to pass, which you can push to pass, and it shows in the other vehicle, and invariably they pull over a little bit and you can pass. So most importantly about it is that it gives you alerts of if there are any cautions on the stage, as well as if something happens to you. Let's say you have a bad crash and you do not respond, like you do not press the button okay. They immediately shut the stage down, send the ambulance, to whatever necessary. So it's a tough question to answer, because I think the organization, or the governing bodies that manage the rallies, they do a very good job. They also do a very good job with regards to marketing of the event, and we do get a lot of foreign overseas competitors that come in for it. It's a big part of Barbados's sporting calendar, and there's a lot of money that gets pumped into the Barbados economy through this, by visitors coming in and crews coming in and staying in hotels and eating in restaurants, and fuel and all the amenities. So to answer that question, I don't think there's much more that we can do, especially now, because we're kind of locked down,
Yes, that's true. But as in the worldwide pandemic, Barbados did also extremely well, not just automotive industry related, but related to the COVID-19 as well. Really, it's been handled very professionally, and it's very good to know that extended to the automotive industry, it's also very proactive and safety focused. That's the number one factor anyways in this car racing industry. And I would have just one more personal question about a mental preparation. I know this racing not just requires for your car to be ready, but the driver is the other end. And what mental preparation do you require? How do you prepare or train yourself to mentally?
Well, I think it changes a little, just because of whatever discipline that we're doing. Because in Bimma Cup, we do various different disciplines. We do what's rally sprint, which would be on the same track, but we would have the cones separating, and then there's a split where one car goes over a bridge and under a bridge. So basically each car covers 2 laps, the same distance on the circuit. And then we have the rally cross, which you experienced the other day, which is totally different, because you have, it could be 4 to 6, 7 cars on the track with you at the same time,
pushing each other.
or there's rallying as well too, which part of our championship is 2 rallies for the year, and all of them are slightly different. So I would say, me personally, my mental preparation is a little bit different. I like to, before, just find my little quiet space, listen to some music, my headphones, and just kind of think about the upcoming stages or whatever discipline we're doing. Try to visualize, at least the first couple corners in the race, and think about how the race is actually going to unfold. A lot of times it doesn't, but I find starting off that way, it helps you kind of get into the groove a little bit faster.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. That is very true, as I experienced it in the running side of in a competitive industry. But thank you very, very much, Chris, to taking your time today and talk about Rallycross talk about rallying, as in all in Barbados and even internationally. So we can be ready for Rally Barbados. The date is 31st of October. Am I right?
31st and 1st of November, yeah.
Yeah, from 31st to the 1st of November. Okay, then everybody who's going to take part, have a good preparation time. Chris, thank you very much for being here with us today. Stay safe all the
Thanks,
time.
Sophie.
And sweet meeting to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you.
God bless. My pleasure.
Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.